So like, I forget if it's Newton's first law, second law. I think it's the first law. Every action is an equal opposite reaction, summarized. So basically, if you're in space and you had a person with a gun, you fired the gun, the same amount of kinetic energy that shot the bullet out, he'd have pushed back at him. So it would work very well.
What?
Well, that's what happens normally. Actually, yeah, even on Earth too. But there's gravity to kind of resist. Like something's holding him down. There's a force holding him down. So when you fire a bullet, there's gravity holding him down.
Okay.
But if you're in space, there's no gravity. You shoot a bullet.
You would go backwards?
Yeah. Not to the same extent as a bullet because it's mass. So the bullet has so much kinetic energy because of its speed. Actually, it's acceleration. It accelerates. So, force is equal to mass times no. Force is equal to mass times acceleration. But kinetic energy is 1/2 mass times the velocity squared. So it's a square relationship. So just small increases in the velocity really increase the kinetic energy. Where mass has less of a role in it because it's not squared. It's not the velocity term. Anyway, so
to summarize. Can you shorten that?
Not really.
If you shoot a gun in space, you're going to get kickback and you're going to move backwards. And if you shoot a gun on land, you're not.
Well, you also get kickback, but you have the Earth resisting
right.
So, yep. We got to this because I was saying there's no sound in space.
Oh, right.
Because there's no sound is transferred through molecules of air bumping into each other, waves of air. There's no air.
So when we watch a space movie or
really
TV show,
bored if they did it real life.
So like the astronauts can't talk to each other?
Well, they can when they're in an environment that has air. Their little suits, they can talk in microphones and things.
Oh, okay.
But you wouldn't actually hear them. Like if you were in space and I was in space and there was a way to have our faces exposed without them being ripped apart. And we talked, so we wouldn't hear each other.
So why would you even talk?
I don't know.
Is that a man's perfect environment with his wife?
It's funny.
Like, sure, honey.
Actually, even if we did have space helmets on and we had no radio controls or anything like that, and we were right next to each other, we wouldn't be able to hear each other. You could hear yourself because there's air in your spacesuit, but there's no way to transfer that sound to me in a complete vacuum.
Right, so how do they talk to each other if they can't hear each other?
Radios. Electronically. Radios, that's electromagnetic radiation. It's light, essentially. Different end of the spectrum. That can be transferred through space. That can be transferred through various things.
So, you know what I think is interesting?
What?
You're fired up right now. It's late. And you can like talk nonstop about this stuff. But you can't talk about other stuff at night. Your brain shuts off. But your brain is not shut off right now.
Well, it's stimulated. I don't know. When it's not stimulated, it shuts off and it wants to sleep, I guess. I don't know.
No, I'm talking about like when I've asked you if you could help me on something, or I can't think of a specific, but You say, no, let's do it in the morning because I can't think right now.
Well, I couldn't.
But obviously you're able to think in the evening just about
Maybe,
space.
well, it might be just now. I don't know. 'Cause, don't have an answer for you.
It's not something you have to answer. It was just an observation that I made.
Okay.
That, you know, maybe something that you're not interested in, you can't do at night.
Yeah.
But you can talk nonstop about
You asked me the question.
periodic table of the elements.
You asked me the question, though.
What question did I ask you?
You asked me about Star Trek, what that whoosh was. And
Well, because you did that, and I was like, what is that?
and that got me onto this topic of like, we really want to hear the whoosh, because there's a vacuum, and that's how we got into the whole topic.
And that would not actually wouldn't make a sound.
No.
But does it make a sound and we can't hear it?
No, it can't make a sound. There's no sound. You need some type of way to transmit the sound wave.
Or do you need somebody's ear to hear it?
Well, you need that too. If a tree falls in the forest, no one's there. Is it really falling?
Exactly.
Yeah, this is a little different though.
Why?
It's not a philosophical question. It's a conceptual, scientific question. So, like, if a tree falls in space, if a woman you get in trouble now. If a woman talks in space, it's in a vacuum. Can anybody hear it?
Does anyone ever hear a woman talk? Does a man ever hear a woman talk?
On that, I'm going to shut up.